You are listening to One Happy Podcast, episode 84.
There were so many animals. As soon as you get off the boat, you're greeted by enormous iguanas. And they're not scary. They're very, they're just there. And so the kids were taking pictures of that. And then
Bon dia, and welcome to One Happy Podcast, the officially unofficial podcast of the island of Aruba. As always, I'm your faithful servant, Aruba Kurt Robinson, bringing you another dose of happiness. Today, I'm being joined by an awesome guest, Michelle Kalina. Michelle's a yoga instructor and health and wellness coach from Minnesota who recently took a trip to Aruba with her family. But this wasn't just any trip. Yes, it was a family vacation, but it also had an added purpose. About a month ago, you may have seen posts on Facebook talking about a sunset yoga class taking place at the Renaissance. Well, that class was taught by Michelle, and from what I hear, it was absolutely fantastic. So much so that I had to reach out to see if she was available for an interview. Now, I wish I could have caught her before the class took place, but I have a feeling it won't be the last time something like this gets offered by the resort. What I like about this interview, other than it just being a blast to talk about Aruba, is that it kind of has a healthy flavor to it. What I mean by that is, with Michelle being a yoga instructor, it was cool to be able to pick up some tips on how to make a vacation a bit more nutritionally responsible. Now, we didn't go overboard with that, because it's not really that kind of podcast, but learning about some of the places that offer healthy options and being exposed to some information about yoga was greatly appreciated. So here is my interview with Michelle Kalina of Michelle K Yoga. Michelle, how's it going?
good, thank you. I wish I was back in Aruba. It's cold and gray and rainy in Minnesota.
But I do hear that you get about 3 months of absolutely perfect weather. Is that true?
That is true. It is pretty amazing in the summer.
Nice.
I'll give it that. I don't know if it's a full 3 months, but like that.
Well, just hang in there. It's right around the corner.
Right.
So let's talk about your return from a place that has 365 days of perfect weather. When were you in Aruba?
It was 2 or 3 weeks ago. I can't remember exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It was my kid's spring break, so I think it was March 31st through April 7th, I want to say. Okay. Something like that.
Nice. And so you're fresh back from Aruba. How's the adjustment going?
Well, I'm still posting Aruba pictures to kind of keep my mind there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very important. You want to transition back to real life slowly.
Yes, and count down the days until I can get onto a beach again.
Right. And you travel a lot, right?
Yes, pretty much once a month.
Nice.
A lot of not this weekend. Next weekend we're going to Las Vegas, and then Michigan in June, and then we pick back up more of the island international type travel in the winter because that's when you really need to get out of here. In the summer, it's nice to be local and go to Michigan and places like that are typically unpleasant to visit in the winter.
Right. So, if you were still in Aruba right now, what would you be doing right this second?
I would probably be making my way over to Island Yoga.
And where's the Island Yoga located?
So it's new. It opened in January, and it is in. I'm not exactly sure how you pronounce it. Is it Noord? Noord?
Yes, Noord.
Yes. Okay. So that's where it is. It's by Rachel Brathen opened it, also known as Yoga Girl.
Yoga Girl, yes.
Yes. And so I would either be taking a class there, or I believe every morning at 9 or 9:30 is the SUP yoga class, which I took while I was there, and that is near the fishing huts on the beach.
In that stand-up paddleboard yoga?
Yes, it is.
Nice. So is that something that you hadn't experienced before?
I actually have,
okay.
And I actually own my own travel paddleboard that's inflatable, so I take that with me. And it works well because while I'm doing that, my family is scuba diving, and they had an amazing couple of experiences. I think they dove 2 or 3 days while they were in Aruba.
Cool. Very nice. Yeah, there's some great wrecks to dive off the coast of the island.
Yeah, they did a plane wreck. I can't remember what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
And they did, maybe it was 2 plane wrecks. I am not quite sure.
Mm-hmm.
But my son took some fantastic GoPro video of it.
Nice. So was this your first visit to the island?
This was our third with the family, with kids.
Mm-hmm.
The first 2 were without kids.
Okay. So would it be safe to say that you fell in love with Aruba?
Absolutely. I've got my bags packed for the next time I can go. It has everything. The weather is fantastic. And I laugh when people post on Facebook that they're watching the weather and that it's going to rain. I think it's an island. So if and when it rains for probably, 30 seconds.
Right.
And then it's bright and sunny. So I would advise people to never look at the weather forecast before your trip. But it really has everything. And the people were so incredibly friendly and warm. And I loved it.
Yes, that is a staple of Aruba.
Yes, one happy island, right? One friendly island.
That's right. So on this trip, where did you stay?
We stayed at the Marriott Ocean Club.
Mm-hmm.
We actually own a timeshare at a Marriott in Vail, Colorado.
Okay.
Needless to say, this mama outvoted everyone in getting out of the snow and getting to the beach. So I was able to trade our Vail, Colorado timeshare for Aruba pretty much last minute.
Oh, that's cool. So how did the other members of your group receive Aruba once they landed?
Oh, they were ecstatic. They love the beach and beach activities as much as they love skiing, I believe. But when you live in Minnesota and they ski many days out of the week and they go on many ski trips, I think they were just as eager to get to the beach.
Right. This is just another example of Mother Knows Best.
Exactly. That's right. Can you tell them that?
Mother Knows Best. You hear that?
That's right.
So can you tell me a little bit about the Marriott property?
Yes, it's a beautiful property. We had a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom condo. The location was very good. I know that they had a lot of activities. We didn't really participate in that. We spent a lot of time restaurant hopping. Mm-hmm. I had every reservation ahead of time.
Nice.
So we didn't spend a lot of time actually just hanging out on the beach. I did get up every morning early. You have to make a reservation if you want a certain hut. Mm-hmm. And I think it was $10 a day or something like that. So I did get up and reserve a hut every morning so that when we got back from our activities, we would have somewhere to plant ourselves for a couple hours in the afternoon before we went in and got ready for dinner.
Yes.
I would say that they did not have enough beachside service. We had to go up to the bar for our happy hour cocktails.
Yeah, at a resort you would expect to have beachside service. That's a shame it didn't quite live up to your expectations.
Yeah, when I write my review on that, that's one of the things that I'm going to discuss. I'm working very hard at getting my travel blog up to par and to get all of my most recent trips on there, but it's not easy work, as you know. Right. It's a lot of work getting a blog going and writing and editing and all of that.
Yeah, definitely. I was checking out your post about Renaissance Island at michellekyoga.com. Beautiful pictures.
Thank you. Thank you. And that's only a small amount of them. My son he's only 16, but he's a budding photographer, and his pictures are just phenomenal.
It's pretty amazing. So would I be able to see those on Instagram?
Yeah, there's a few on Instagram. He's Jake.Kalina. And then he also has Bird's Eye Photography, BIRDSI Photography.
Okay.
On Instagram.
Nice.
And then his website is Jacob K Photography at Weebly.com, I believe.
That's great. I'll be looking forward to checking all those out. So you mentioned the restaurants. I mean, I assume that you lead a really healthy life. You're a yoga instructor. So how do you manage to eat healthy while on vacation?
Well, it's definitely not easy, but almost every restaurant that we went to had healthier options. And I'll give you an example. Well, for breakfast for myself, I walked over to the Ritz-Carlton, which is right next door to the Marriott, and they had an avocado toast. So there are almost always healthy options on, unless you're going to fast food or bar and grill or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
We always find healthy options. My son has nut allergies and sesame allergies, and it's very hard to find restaurants that accommodate his dietary restrictions, because sometimes they'll have, be frying in peanut oil or frying in sesame oil, or it just can be challenging. So typically he gets pizza or buttered noodles. But we went to a new restaurant called Yemanja.
Right.
Familiar with that one?
Yes.
I think their menu has little symbols that say vegan, gluten-free, nut-free. So he and I were able to scan the menu and instantly pick out what was going to be safe for him and healthy for me.
Nice. That's something that's uncommon in Caribbean islands, where they make it so accessible, the information.
Exactly. I was so impressed, and the food was wonderful. The waitress was fantastic. They sat us immediately, and of course it's got this outdoor patio, but it was covered in case there was any rain, which there wasn't. So we were quite impressed with that.
Nice. Yes, that's one of those places. Well, I've never been there, but I've heard nothing but incredible things about Yemanja.
Yes. Everything you heard is correct.
Great. So what are some other places that you visited?
So, of course, being from Minnesota, there was no way I was going to go into any restaurant that I couldn't eat outside at. And I wanted the experience of feet in the sand. So we ate at Atardi, which is at the Marriott. Very good, feet in the sand. Kids loved it. Beautiful sunset. Absolutely no complaints. I didn't have any complaints about any of the restaurants that we went to. I think we only ate at one. No, none of them were inside. We ate at Barefoot on the beach also. I love the location of that. You kind of have to take a little bit of a road trip, it was very nice. Again, feet in the sand. We ate at Faro Blanco, the Lighthouse restaurant.
And how was that?
Also great. I don't think we had a bad meal anywhere.
That's
or
good
a bad
to hear.
service. Yeah. Everything was wonderful. Madame Jeanette was fantastic. And they sat us, we thought we were walking in like VIPs. They had a table set for us that was like under this canopy. It almost looked like a private seating area with twinkling lights all over. It was phenomenal.
I know exactly which seating you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, so what did I do to deserve that? I didn't know.
I have no idea, but I always did think that was like a VIP area. So I guess you're a VIP.
All right. Well, we'll go with that. Let me think if there were any others. I think that was it. I think that was our whole week. And lunches we pretty much either ate on whatever excursions we were on. That first day we did a sunset, the first Sunday, we did a sunrise brunch with Pelican Tours, I believe it was called. That was wonderful. We loved it. Everyone snorkeled. They gave us food when we first got out there, food a little bit afterwards, constant cocktails flowing, and some really great snorkeling experiences and lounging on a really nice boat.
I was going to ask you about the cocktails, because being that you are so healthy, I was wondering, how does the drinking fit in with that?
It fits.
Okay, good.
It fits. That is one thing I have done I did a whole 30 for 30 days with no wine and no alcohol whatsoever, and that was very challenging.
I am actually in the middle of that right now.
Are you?
Yes.
That's hard.
I'm trying to eat clean and no alcohol for 30 days.
It's not easy.
It
is
not
easy. But you should feel really good. Do you feel really good?
Right now, yeah, I'm only about a week or so into it. But yeah, I actually do feel better.
Good. I definitely was looking forward to my glass of wine. But you do feel it quicker when you get off of those 30 days. And now I've switched to primarily paleo. Okay. Which is a pretty common transition from Whole30. And I really am enjoying that.
Although I would never be confused with someone that's like really healthy. Right now I'm just trying to cleanse and reset a little bit. Well,
that's the point of the Whole30 is really it is a nutritional reset.
Exactly. So let's talk about yoga for a little bit.
All right.
Okay, so how long have you been a yoga instructor?
I've been teaching since 2014.
Mm-hmm.
I've been practicing for almost 8 years, I believe.
Okay. And you had the opportunity to teach a Sunset Beach yoga class at the Renaissance, right?
Yes, it was wonderful. I actually reached out to them
Mm-hmm.
because, there is island yoga and one or two other yoga studios on the island, but there are not a lot of hotels that actually have a yoga program or resorts. Or I couldn't find any that taught for myself to actually attend sunset yoga or even sunrise yoga. There was the paddleboard, which was great, but everything else was in a studio, and there was nothing offered for sunset on the beach.
Right.
So I reached out to them offering to teach the class, and they agreed, and it was great.
Nice. Yeah, that's something that's definitely needed on the island. Maybe you can work out some type of wintertime residency there.
I might have to. There's a great idea. Believe me, my wheels have been spinning. I understand that Wellness Month, what's it called? Aloe Wellness Month, maybe, is in June.
Mm-hmm.
So there is some conversation of maybe me coming back, but I'm not sure. My daughter is graduating from high school June 10th, and we have her graduation and sending her off to college. So
right.
Not sure if that will work, but one day I hope to get there for the month of June.
Mm-hmm. The month of January would be even better.
Exactly. Yeah, can they switch it for me? Then I will for sure be there. Yeah.
We'll work on that.
Thank you.
So Renaissance Island, how did you like it?
Wow. That's all I can say is wow. I don't know if you read in my blog post, but my poor children have never been to Disney World.
I have never been to Disney either.
It's not necessary, to see that commercialization and the cotton candy and the rides and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
When you can go to an island like Aruba, get on a little boat, mm-hmm. and go from the main city to an island that has everything possible for a kid to be entertained.
Right.
My boys they didn't even know what to do first. And it's not that there's anything like to do, it's just seeing. And well, they have the paddle boards there because they have Red Sail Sports, and mm-hmm. they have, I think, kayaks. But my husband joked, he said, I feel like I'm at a petting zoo. There were so many animals. As soon as you get off the boat, you're greeted by enormous iguanas. Yes. And they're not scary. They're very, they're just there. And so the kids were taking pictures of that. And then very friendly woman greets you as you get off the boat and tells you where everything is. And there's a restaurant right there on the island with great beach service and beach chairs. And the water is crystal clear. And they have a dock in the middle of the cove, I guess it is, to swim out to. So the kids were swimming out to there and jumping off, and we had brought our snorkeling equipment, so they were snorkeling around between that dock and the spa cove.
Right.
And there were pelicans in the trees and pelicans in the water, and the older two and myself and my husband, we took turns because the little ones can't, well, he's not little, but 12, mm-hmm. can't go to Flamingo Beach. So the older two went over to the Flamingo Beach and took pictures and fed the flamingos. And the day flew. We were there for an entire day, and it just flew by with no Mickey Mouse in sight.
That's great. You had an incredible time over there.
It was wonderful.
Nice. What other excursions did you do while in Aruba?
So the kids did the scuba diving. Mm-hmm. Which I had mentioned, and they had just gotten certified when we were in Mexico at Christmas time. So they did a program in Mexico that got them certified, so all three of them were certified, and we used JADS for our diving excursions. Okay. And they were wonderful. Pre-trip, they sent me several questions to answer. They offered us a free guide because my son was he's 12, going to be 13. So we had their own guide. And I felt very secure, very taken care of. They had all the equipment for them. They took them to great locations. I would highly recommend them.
Very cool. Did you guys take any tours of the island?
So yes, so this was actually quite funny. Well, first of all, we rented a Jeep from Top Drive.
How was that experience?
Great. It's a small little place. They picked us up at the airport. It took them a while to get there, but they did pick us up in a shuttle and take us to their little place and showed us how to work the car and take the top up and down. And, the car was a little bit beat up, but that's what we expected. Our initial plan was to take ourselves to the natural pool.
Right.
That was the plan.
How'd that work out?
Now, well, let me we'll get to that. So that was the plan. We used the car to go out to dinner. I used it to go to the, yoga studio and that type of stuff. Didn't end up using it to go get groceries or anything like that. We didn't even feel like we needed it. So our plan was to go to the natural pool. And the more I was reading reviews and saying, this is not for the faint of heart, be prepared with tire changing equipment,
right.
Pack a cooler, all of this stuff. The night before our day trip, I'm showing all of these reviews to my husband and saying, are you really sure you are up to this? Because I'm telling you, I am not changing a tire in the desert.
Right, 90-degree weather.
I'm not driving. So this is all on you. So speak now or forever hold your peace. Otherwise, I'm going online and I am booking us a tour. And he said, book a tour.
Smart move.
So we did book, and we used ABC Jeep Tours, and they were awesome. We are so glad. It was worth every penny, because not only did they take us on the scariest ride of our lives to the natural pool, the whole time we were saying, oh my God, I'm so glad we didn't do this ourselves. This was just crazy. But you get the experience. So not only did we have the crazy ride of our lives, they also took us to 2 other locations, the Natural Bridge and I called it like a cairn beach, but I don't know what it's, where all the rocks are stacked.
Okay. Yeah, we just call them wishing rocks. Right.
So there's a story behind that too. So remind me to tell you about that, and because I heard a lot of controversy about that afterwards, and I didn't know what he was talking about. But the Cairn Garden is what I was calling it. But anyways, one of the locations. So the natural pool itself, it was too rough to actually go in and swim, but we took amazing pictures. I've never seen anything like that, and it took us to another smaller natural pool, and we climbed down this very, very perfectly vertical ladder.
Right.
And actually, the kids got to do a little bit of small cliff diving into this smaller natural pool. And they loved it.
Nice. Now, how deep is it there?
5 feet, maybe.
Okay.
Something like that. So they didn't dive head first. I wouldn't let them do that. They just jumped, just like jumping into a pool. I was very nervous, anxious mom, of course, because my kids are so brave, but they did all jump in. And had we done that tour ourselves, we never would have had these additional experiences.
Exactly.
So we were very happy that we did it. So the Cairn Garden. So those balancing rocks are used in yoga as a form of meditation.
Okay. So
and I actually did one on the Renaissance Island before I read about all the controversy about I don't quite understand the controversy, but I've read that it supposedly disrupts the ecosystem somehow.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the ins and outs of that. I do know that anytime someone posts about it, there's just a tsunami of comments about it. Yeah,
and I guess I'd have to read more to be able to comment whether I would agree with it or not agree with it, and I'm certainly not an expert on that. But what I do know is that it is used in yoga and in meditation to the idea of stacking the rocks. Well, that's kind of all you're thinking about is balancing those rocks. So it's a way of calming the monkey mind that we all have.
Monkey mind, what's that?
When you're trying to focus on one thing and your mind is going all different places, like a monkey from tree to tree. It's called chitta. So I have a little sticker on one of my notebooks that says "Shoulda happens," because it's your mind just going nonstop. So if you use these balancing rocks as meditation practice, you're sitting there trying to get these rocks to balance carefully. And there are other theories around why the rocks are used in yoga, but that for me, that's what it is.
Okay.
So I found that site absolutely incredible. Just see all of those.
Thousands and thousands of them.
Of them. And so when I said that the guy didn't know what he was talking about, he did. I mean, he said people stack them and make a wish on them. So it was a very simple explanation.
Right.
But there is much more to it.
And did I see that you guys did some horseback riding?
No, we saw people on horseback. While we were driving on the crazy Jeep ride, people were on their crazy horse ride going through to the natural pools. We passed them. They're very brave.
That'd be a fun ride. That's a bucket list for me. Yeah,
one day when I build up some more courage to watch my kids do something like that.
Right. So Michelle, are you ready for the eye of the hurricane?
Sure.
Okay. Now, as you know, Aruba lies below the hurricane belt, but on One Happy Podcast, we pick you up and drop you right in the center of one, which is where you'll be asked a series of questions that are meant to give us a little bit more insight into how you do Aruba. You ready?
Sure.
Okay, finish this sentence. You know you're in Aruba when?
You're laying on the beach and it's windy.
Okay. Give me a no-brainer great time in Aruba.
Well, for me, walk over to the fishing huts and stop just before you get there and take a paddleboard yoga class.
Nice. What's the best kept secret in Aruba?
Island yoga. But it's not really a secret, so do you want a different answer for that one?
Well, it's a secret to a segment of people because, I mean, I'm not the most health-conscious person, and I've heard of it mainly because of Yoga Girl's social media, but there's a lot of people that have no idea about it.
Right, so head over to Island Yoga. And actually, the best kept secret is not Island Yoga itself, but Nourish Cafe, which is behind the yoga studio itself. So you have to walk through this little rock courtyard to get into the cafe. And food is fantastic, and you can even have a Yoga Girl juice.
Nice. And what is a Yoga Girl juice?
A green, very healthy juice. They have a lot of other ones. My son had a fruity one the day that I took him with me, and I actually got to meet her, and she was very warm and friendly, and saw the baby, and it's just a great place to visit.
Very nice. Are there any special tools, apps, or resources you use to plan your trips?
The Aruba Facebook groups, for sure. There are two, All Things Aruba, and just one that's just called Aruba. And the people in there were so incredibly helpful. I think that and TripAdvisor. Right.
Definitely. Do you have something special that you bring from home or pick up as soon as you arrive that helps you take your vacations to the next level?
Yeah, I bring my own Evolve paddleboard. It's an inflatable stand-up paddleboard. Inflates in under 5 minutes and goes in checked luggage.
Very cool. I've never heard of that before.
It's awesome.
Great. What's missing from Aruba, or how do you think Aruba could be improved?
Wow. How could it be improved? I honestly cannot think of anything. Give me a minute on that one.
Okay, that's fine.
What would I want differently? As far as restaurants, it would be nice if all of the menus were like Yamanja's menus, which had healthier options clearly defined, or allergy, what do they call it? Just alerts, or some sort of documenting allergens on the menus.
Right, to make it easier for those who are afflicted by those to find something that they can eat.
Yeah, because I don't know I think on a lot of islands don't have as many food allergies as we do here in the States.
Right.
Specifically nut and seed allergies. So it would be nice if, menu item was noted as may contain or made in a kitchen, or we can't guarantee, or we use so-and-so kind of oil to fry our foods, because especially with kids, if you're getting chicken nuggets or French fries or chicken fingers, they're typically fried in some sort of oil.
Right. And peanut oil is a popular one.
Right.
So is there anything on your bucket list that you would like to do the next time you're in Aruba?
Yeah, I saw, and I don't know what it's called. People were on boards with kind of like a parachute.
Oh yes, kiteboarding.
Kiteboarding. I might want to take a lesson in that.
That would be cool.
There were a lot of them, and looked like they were in a little area, and some of them looked very professional. So I need kiteboarding for dummies or kiteboarding for beginners, but I think it's something that I would want to try.
Yes, it's either kiteboarding or windsurfing. One of them you're on a surfboard sort of thing with a sail, and the other one you have the kite, and you're on almost like a water ski. I get the two confused.
Yeah, this looked like almost like a board, a big paddle board or something. I'm not sure.
Interesting, but I've seen them over by the Ritz.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
I'd love to do that too. What's your vacation superpower?
I'm a pre-planner. I get everything done ahead of time, so there are no decisions to be made once we get there. Nice.
I wish I had that power.
It just makes it so much easier than trying to scramble for reservations and activities, and we've gone down that road before, and it's unpleasant. Then you end up just eating wherever, whenever, because and then you don't get the great experiences.
Nice.
Or VIP tables.
Exactly. If given a chance, would you move to Aruba?
If I didn't have 3 kids in school, absolutely. I think it's a great place either to move to when your kids are little or, for retirement. I would in a second. It's funny, I have an aunt and uncle who are 2 years away from retirement. And I just saw them last weekend when I was in Michigan, and I said, you really have to go to Aruba. If you're looking for an island to retire on, this might be it for you. It's easy to get to. Everyone speaks English. They take American money. The people are friendly. The food is good. You can drink the water. I mean, it goes on and on and on of why it would be a good place to retire.
Yes, it checks off a lot of boxes.
Yes, it does.
Okay, now this is the final question of the Eye of the Hurricane. It's a long one, so stick with me for a second, okay?
Okay.
Okay, the people of Aruba have decided to lock you out of paradise. That's right, they're no longer allowing visitors to the island. However, since you were such a great guest, they decided to allow you to visit for one more day, all expenses paid. Michelle Kalina, how do you spend your last day on the island of Aruba?
I think I would have to say that I would stay at the Renaissance Island, the hotel that's right in the city. And I would take the boat out to the island, Renaissance Island, every day. And I would teach yoga classes and teach stand-up paddleboard classes, and also maybe have another teacher come with me so that I could actually take classes. I think I would spend, or maybe I would go to that Cairn Garden or whatever you called it in the morning, and then go over to Renaissance Island.
Okay. Well, you survived the eye of the hurricane. How was it?
Oh, easy. You want to try a tornado one here in Minnesota?
No, thank you. They scare the heck out of me.
Oh, me too.
How difficult is the stand-up paddleboard yoga?
Well, it's definitely more challenging than being on land, because when you're on land, you're supposed to focus. It's called a drishti, focal point. So you find something to look at that helps you balance, something that's stable. And obviously, if you're out on a paddleboard and the board is moving underneath you because of the wind there, the boards were moving pretty significantly. So there's nothing to focus on to keep your balance. So you really have to, stay within yourself. And what was interesting is that in poses where we were looking up at the sky, it was much easier to balance than looking down at the water.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah. But the teacher was great. The class was small. I think they've had up to maybe 17 or so.
Mm-hmm.
But we had, I think, 6. And they have, so the teacher takes the paddle boards out and they hook them onto, I guess it's like a swimming rope barrier.
Right.
So you're not floating all over the place. You don't have to worry that you're going to like float off into the middle of the ocean.
Right.
You're all right there, and the sun is on you, and the teacher is right there, and you may or may not fall off, but that's all part of the fun. Mm-hmm. They made it very, very comfortable.
So this is the last question of the interview that I'm going to ask you, and then I'll let you get out of here, okay?
All right.
All right, so right now there's probably somebody listening that's never been to Aruba. Now, they're probably on the fence about whether or not Aruba should be their next vacation. What would you say to that person to convince them that Aruba should absolutely be their next vacation destination?
Well, I've been to a lot of islands, most recently Mexico. I've been to Grand Cayman. I've been to Jamaica. I've been a lot of different places. And Aruba has it all. And it's affordable and it's easy to get to. What we did the last 2 times that we went to Aruba, I guess it would depend on where you're flying from, but we found it very useful to fly to another U.S. city. So this time we flew to Charlotte, so Minneapolis to Charlotte, the night before we wanted to get to Aruba.
Right.
We stayed overnight at an airport hotel, and we've done that, I think, in Miami or one of the other cities that actually had a hotel on the property, and then take the earliest flight to Aruba the next morning. And then you're on the beach by the afternoon.
Right, and you're nice and refreshed.
Exactly. And it works really well because the airlines will check your luggage all the way through. So you just have to have a carry-on for your stay in whatever hotel that you're going to stay at, and then get to the island the next day. So it's really easy to get to. The transportation is easy. There's plenty of taxis all over. I think affordability is obviously very important to people, right. And we did find it very affordable. I don't think we had any complaints. Where some of the other islands, like Grand Cayman, while it's incredible, it's also incredibly expensive.
Yes, it is.
Incredibly expensive. So it has everything, and you're not cooking on the beach because of the winds, and it's not crazy winds. I've seen posts where people are concerned about the winds, but it's really not crazy winds. We were, I think, 1 out of the 7 days, we were thankful that we weren't eating on the beach. Every other night, no problems eating out on the beach. Perfect.
Well, that's the end of the interview. So before you get out of here, I want to ask you, do you think that you'll be doing any more yoga classes on the island in the future?
I would love to if they'll have me.
Great. And in the meantime, what's the best way that people can check out what you're doing, keep up with Michelle K Yoga?
MichelleKyoga.com is my web address. MichelleK.yoga on Instagram.
Okay. And isn't there also MichelleK.food?
Yes, and there is MichelleK.food. Thank you. And Michelle K Yoga Experiences on Facebook, but it might just be facebook.com/Michelle K Yoga.
Okay, and we'll link all those in the show notes that accompany this episode.
Thank you.
Well, it was great talking to you. I really do appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you again for reaching out to me. I really appreciate it. And good luck with your whole 30.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, Michelle, bye-bye.
Bye, thank you.
So there you have it for another episode of One Happy Podcast. I hope you enjoyed the show. I had a lot of fun speaking to and learning from Michelle. Now, that was a great mix of entertainment and education that I hope you enjoyed as well. Anytime I get to learn about restaurants I have yet to try and excursions that I haven't experienced, it's always a good show. So I want to thank Michelle Kalina for bringing me along on her trip to Aruba. And I also want to thank you guys for choosing to download and listen to episode 84 of the show. Now, Michelle and I talked about it a lot, but don't worry about it because, as always, I took the notes so that you don't have to. And they can be found at onehappypodcast.com/EP84. OneHappyPodcast.com is the flagship for all things podcast related, so please do head on over there to check it out. Also, if you enjoy the show and want to leave me a review on iTunes, type in onehappypodcast.com/iTunes, and it'll take you directly to where you need to be. But what would be even more awesome would be is if you would like and share this podcast on Facebook to someone you know who loves Aruba just as much as you do. Also, please do contact me if you'd like to share your Aruba story with the world. You can do so by going to facebook.com/onehappypodcast or checking me out on Twitter at ArubaKurt or on Instagram at onehappypodcast. Or you can do it the old-fashioned way by emailing me at kurt@onehappypodcast.com. That's Kurt with a C. But even more than helping me promote, although I do love the promotion, I want you guys to take this away from the show. I joke around that on vacation calories don't count, but obviously that's ridiculous. But when we go on vacation anywhere, and especially a destination with as many great places to eat as Aruba, it's easy to get carried away. I'm absolutely horrible at telling myself no. But it really is important to remember that you probably shouldn't go too far beyond what you would do in your regular everyday life, even though you're on vacation. Now, you can form some really bad habits in the week or two that you're on the island, habits that take much longer to undo once you're back in your real life. But enough of me preaching. Michelle, why don't you take us out of here?
Hit the music.